You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by the National Association of Convenience Stores.
And welcome to Convenience Matters. This is Jeff Leonard with the National Association of Convenience Stores, and I'm joined by my colleague.
I'm John Eichberg with the Fuels Institute in NACS, and we're here to talk about everything that fuels you. Food, fuel, you name it. If it keeps you going, convenience stores are selling it.
And we're here at a convenience store meeting, and a lot of it is talking about issues, but what we want to spend a couple minutes talking about over the next, with our guest today, Richard Onslager, is ideas. How do you get them? How do you take good ideas and apply them to businesses or find new business opportunities? So, welcome, Richard.
Thank you. Thrilled to be here.
Well, one of the things in thinking about ideas is you've had multiple businesses over the years. You're a traditional convenience store retailer. You have stores in Colorado as part of Balmar Petroleum. You also have some other concepts. You have a new concept called the Bottle Shop.
Yeah, it's actually been probably the funnest thing I've ever done, and a lot of people who know me said, "Well, geez, can't believe it took you this long to get in the liquor business." You know, but it's starting a concept from scratch, and it was really focusing on it in retail liquor stores. They abandon anything to do with style and substance and all the brand promises that liquor companies make in their advertising, and then you walk into a liquor store and you see the fancy scotch stacked up in cardboard boxes with a colored Starburst sign saying that it's $29.99. So I wanted to kind of bring some romance and stuff back to a retail liquor store. And our second goal was to have give people tools to make great cocktails at home. There's so much going on in the cocktail world in bars and restaurants, and people want to recreate those cocktails at home. So it was really starting kind of a concept from scratch. So it was a lot of fun.
So you're bringing sexy back to liquor.
Bringing sexy back to liquor.
Nice.
Yeah. Sexy never left, but it was just hidden. So.
How do you get ideas for the new concept? Do you go around the country? Do you go around the world? Magazines, podcasts? How do you find these ideas?
Yeah, honestly, all sorts of stuff. I mean, obviously online, clipping stories all the time. I use Evernote, which is just a software that I absolutely love for clipping things that you find, and you can put pictures and notes in it. It's just wonderful. But I'm always stopping and taking pictures. I don't know how we did it without an iPhone, but I was walking through IKEA last week and snapping pictures of things. Sometimes it's actual products. Sometimes it's signage or even the content of the sign or the displays. I'm just driving my family crazy because I'm all of a sudden I'm stopping and taking pictures of something all the time.
So the olden days, you'd go to your banker and say, "I'd love to show you this concept, but I still have 3 pictures left on the roll, and I have to drop it off at Photomat, and then I have to see which ones I need to get doubles of. Then I'll get back to you."
Someday my prince will come. Yes.
So you were chairman of NACS several years ago.
Yeah.
A lot of people view the convenience channel as somewhat insular. One model. You got the convenience store, you got fuel, and if it doesn't fit in that model, it doesn't really fit. You've kind of broken that mold. As you start looking into different business areas, how do you view the convenience channel actually evolving over the years, and where do you think we might be heading?
Good question. There's multiple questions there. First thing that's actually struck me as I've done other businesses, restaurants, and particularly in the liquor thing, is how much applies from the convenience industry. I mean, it's such a great foundation for just about any business, and anything I've been involved in, I'm constantly taking lessons from what I've learned through NACS and through being in the convenience business. Now, what was your question again?
How have you seen the industry evolve, and where do you actually see us possibly going in the next 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, well, I think the industry's evolved. One thing I think that's driven it is the fact that people do share in this industry and share ideas, and I think that's really been the hallmark of our industry. And talking with suppliers from other industries, you don't see that. I mean, grocery guys aren't nearly as open as convenience retailers are, probably because we're just kind of small entrepreneurs for the most part, and people trying to solve things and figure things out. So first off, I just think it's neat, and I'm very thankful that people are so willing to share in this business. Clearly the food is the biggest part of the evolution. People figured out 15 or 20 years ago that people don't necessarily want to buy gasoline and food at the same place, particularly if you don't make any real distinction between your offers. So,
if the food looks like your gas, it's not going to sell very well.
Yeah, it's like I can understand why people don't want to buy Conoco hot dogs. So clearly we've gotten smarter about that, and it's great when the whole industry's moved forward like that because it gives the channel more credibility when it comes to food. I mean, if everyone's not, if the rising tide lifts all boats, and we need everybody to be sharpening their game in that regard.
I mean, Jeff, you've been doing a lot of work on ideas to go, gas station gourmet, those type of things. Your observations on the evolution of the food offer in the industry?
Well, let's go stay with Ideas to Go for a second. The way that NACS first learned about Richard and what he does out in Colorado is your business partners wrote us a note and says, we have this really cool thing called Retail Radar that we're doing out in Colorado. You guys should come take a look. And somebody on staff was smart enough to say, okay, let's go take a look. And that started learning about where you are harvesting. It was that Conoco store in outside of Denver, by the airport.
Right? Yeah,
what were the ideas in that original store? And then also, was that part of Retail Radar, or was that ensuing?
That was after that. It's funny. I don't know if there's really anything that was that innovative that we did at the store at the time, other than it was new. I mean, not people weren't building new stuff, but we put in big TVs to run commercials and different things. And this was probably, this must have been early 90s or something. So that's when TV still weighed like 500 pounds.
And cost $500.
Yeah, we had like this giant, it's like 4 foot deep cube to put these TVs up in there. And the hardest part then was content, because you couldn't change the content very easily. Literally had a VCR, and there might be some people listening that still remember what a VCR is. It's flashes 12 all the time. And so you had like an old VHS tape that you'd plug in there, and so we didn't actually update the content very often. But it was really like the first time people were really using TV video displays in a retail store like that. So.
And then the Retail Radar was about getting trendy items that you see in other channels into our channel.
Yeah, the challenge is, number one, you don't really see these items very quickly, and then they really come to our channel so late, and things are really kind of pop culture type things. So we'd kind of put together a scouting team to go to, the licensing show and just all sorts of different things, and trying to spot things that are going to be trends, or that may be trends that don't get to our channel for quite a while.
So how do you know the difference between a new idea that is good and a new idea that is new, and that's all that it has as a benefit?
If I really knew how to do that, I wouldn't be spending my time here talking to you guys. I'd be sitting on an island somewhere just relaxing, because if I could figure that out. But at the end of the day, you just got to test it, right? I mean, you just got to throw it out there and see what the response is. And that we'd gone to a presentation out at Stanford one time through some NACS thing, and they had one of the guys there, Innovation Lab, I think, or something. BJ Fogg was his name, and he used the expression launch and learn. And he said, especially with these internet websites and stuff, it's just throw it up there, get it out there, see what people respond to, and then tweak it and adjust it from there, which is obviously a lot easier to do online than it is in brick and mortar. But
so you started off saying that basically your iPhone is the way you capture ideas and inspiration. From what you've been seeing, if you were to sit there and kind of go through the things you've captured over the last couple months, what things are standing out most impressive to you as things that this industry should probably be thinking about?
I don't know anything that earth-shattering, honestly. I think sometimes it's really stupid stuff I take pictures of, and just little things. I was looking at Eatsy's in Dallas, the kind of prepared food concept, and they have a little list when you walk it says it's kind of like Eatsy's top 10, and just like an A-frame sign with the top 10 selling items in the store. And I just love that. It's just a great, people always want social confirmation, and geez, if everyone's buying this, maybe I should be. It was just this simple little thing, right? Here's our top movers, and then they had. Then I think it's been a gimmick of theirs for a long time. They, on the outside of the door going out, it says "See you tomorrow," just that kind of.
I think that's important, because at the Fields End, we've had some consumer behaviorists come talk to us. And some of the studies that they've reported to us, Matthew Wilcox in particular, was saying, look, consumer behavior, there's a huge motivation factor between the Me Too and the inspiration of people to behave a certain way because they're seeing other people do it. They did some testing as to people, are you recycling your towel in your hotel room, or are you leaving it on the floor to be washed? And the communication to the customer was, we want you to do this, or 70% of the people before you in the room have done it as well. When you start saying you're part of this crowd, people are actually gravitate towards that behavior a lot more aggressive than they do if it's not put into that. You need to be part of this group as well.
Yeah, I saw that. I think some of this, one of the hotels, you see that little sign and you think, oh, they're just trying to cut their laundry bill. Right?
They are.
But there was a hotel that said something like 72% of our guests like this, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, now now I feel bad.
Yep.
Well, maybe you'll eventually see one of these hotels that just have one of those sandwich boards that just says, "Why lie? It saves us money."
But the point is if you can communicate to your customers, your potential customers, that a certain behavior relevant to your store, your offer, is what other customers are doing, you probably have a better chance at getting them to adopt that behavior. And I use that analogy when I talk about electric vehicles. Electric vehicle penetration has been slow. But you go to California, you are seeing a lot more EVs on the road. They're much more available. They're passing you or you're passing them, depending on whether you're going a hill or not. But you're starting to see them. They're no longer strange. And as more and more your neighbors start to adopt those things, the likelihood of other customers buying them increases dramatically. And I think it's something you got to really pay attention to. The trends of consumer behavior will actually inspire in a more aggressive trend in consumer behavior.
And there's a reason why people were all wearing Crocs shoes for a while, right? It's not because they were attractive, right? They just,
It was a thing to do.
Now, also, we had talked a little bit about where you find ideas. When you go on vacation, do you see anything out there? It's like, I don't know what to do with this, but it's going to be sitting in a file for a while until I figure out what to do with it. May never, but it's a really cool thing. And when you walk around stores, whoever takes money, I'm talking about malls, convenience stores, anything, do you look at them differently? Do you look at certain things like customer experience, design, what elements?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think experience design, I really find myself focusing on store fixtures a lot and how they're merchandising stuff. And it's getting harder to take pictures in stores now, too, because people don't like you to do that. So I've got an app called Sneaky Pics or something, so you kind of turn on and just kind of start snapping photos. So usually, again, it's display, like it's a lot of signage a lot of times, things just, and yeah, I've got a ton of pictures. I was in Mexico for Christmas, and all places, Tulum, Mexico, which is south of Cancun, an hour and a half or so, and it's kind of a yoga and retreat community, kind of a little bit off the grid, but really, really cool retail. I mean, just really cool stuff. I was taking pictures left and right, a lot of storefronts that almost look like a Bedouin tent, and it's just they're bringing this big canvas tent out in front of the store, and but really design wise looks really, really nice. Converting, they took VW bugs and they built almost an entire building out of old VWs, and there's like 100 of the trunk lids and stuff. It's just fun stuff. So, and retail is so visual. And when you're trying to recreate it or explain to somebody what you saw, you got to have a picture. So it's just snapping left and right.
Yeah.
And also, I have you taken any of the ideas from the bottle shop and thought about how you might apply them to retail, to your stores, so your traditional convenience stores?
Not really, actually. I think I may almost be the other way around a little bit. I think it's. Like in the bottle shop, I'm really focusing on primary and secondary displays. So we've got people, where we sell all the different tools for making cocktails, and having all the bitters in one section, people aren't likely to find them unless they know to be looking for them. And so we do primary and secondary displays of bitters and bar tools and vintage barware. And I have seen that surprising to me in the convenience business, we're all about getting people in and out of the store quickly. And they always say that the longer people spend in the store, the more money they spend. And I can see it in the bottle shop. It's just unbelievable because it's kind of like an exploration and a treasure hunt and kind of random. And boy, you see people all of a sudden something catches their eye and they start looking at it, and then they go on to the next place and someone points something out to them, and they'll let milling around the store for 20, 25 minutes. And before they might have been in and out in 5, and now they're really spending a lot of time just.
So it's the ultimate dynamic. It's the opposite of dynamics with convenience stores, fast in and out. With the bottle shop or concepts like that, it's what do they call productive loitering, where it doesn't feel like you're loitering. You get lost in thought, and time doesn't matter.
Yep.
And neither do expenses, and hopefully they increase in your store.
I hope the spend increases.
Well, Richard, thank you very much for joining us, man. This has been a great conversation. I think we started thinking about where we are as an industry, where we're heading, getting perspectives and being able to capture ideas from all your experiences where you go. I think something everybody should be paying attention to, because you never know what type of thing you see in Mexico, of all places, can be applicable to your company to really grow your business as you go forward. So that's fantastic. We appreciate you sharing the ideas with us.
Yeah, appreciate you being here.
And thanks for listening to Convenience Matters.
You've been listening to Convenience Matters. Brought to you by NACS. For more information about the National Association of Convenience Stores, go to nacsonline.com.